Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, and welcome here to our second clash against Napoli in, of course, the space of a few days. The two clubs here go head-to-head in the La Liga Serie A Cup, live from the United States, as our preparations for the new season come to an end right here. This is our fifth and final pre-season game, coming live from the Michigan Stadium, which right here has a capacity which eclipses that of the Camp Nou, an absolutely massive arena here in Michigan. The stadium there being able to hold over 107,000 spectators. It should be a really good atmosphere. There should be a good feel about the place. The perfect way to end our pre-season preparations. And I thought really in Miami on Wednesday night against Napoli, the crowd got involved. It was a good vibe there. And I think certainly here we'll expect the same. It'll be a tough test, a good game. We need to see here, again, an even more polished Barcelona. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at it all in some detail. Let's do this. Kickoff will be coming to us from the Michigan Stadium there at 11 PM local time on Saturday night in Barcelona, with the game there kicking off in the evening in the United States. And here, guys, are the times right around the world where you are, so you can get well involved here in the action in our final pre-season game. And of course, like I said before, our opponents here are very, very familiar indeed. We faced them on Wednesday night just 3 days prior to this weekend's game. And I think, to be honest, like I say, that game certainly gives a good idea of where Barcelona are at. Napoli are a good side. They've got a good coach there in Carlo Ancelotti. They've got a lot of good players in Insigne, Callejon, of course, and also Dries Mertens leading that line. They did cause us problems. They caused us massive, massive problems here in that first half, and it did give us an idea of what we can do better, where we can improve, how exactly we're performing right now, because ahead of that new season, you've got to get it all right. You've got to get this preparation in. You've got to be learning. Not everything right now is going to be perfect. That's the beauty of pre-season, but you have to learn. You've got to learn from your mistakes. You've got to make things better. You've got to improve. That's what this game is all about. It's against the same opposition just a few days later. The perfect opportunity to see what we've worked on. And these, of course, were the lineups that started and finished the game for Barcelona back on Wednesday night there against Napoli. And while certainly there was some promise in the second half, we came and we played a lot better. We created more chances there in that second half. And overall, to be honest, just played a lot better football. Again, there was serious concern for me in that first half, particularly when you look at the defence, but also the midfield helping them out. And there was a real lack of creativity there in the forward line. We've got to do better. The first half performance there, once again, wasn't good enough. And like I say, we have to address that. We have to improve. It was a real problem. And it has been a consistent problem right throughout our pre-season preparations so far. We've seen a slow first half. We've seen Barcelona struggling to get going. And that's okay, really, in the first few games where you're trying to get your match fitness. When you're just getting into the new campaign, it's okay to have a bit of a slow start. But right here and now, we're getting to the end of our pre-season plans. This right here is the final game, just before, of course, the new season starts. The new season will be starting just a week on Saturday. You now have got to be hitting those high notes. You've got to be getting there. You've really got to be turning up the tempo, turning up that intensity, and arriving on these games. And it's as simple as that. We have to put it right tomorrow. We have to look like a more finished product as a team for the full 90 minutes. You can't just turn up for half the game. You can't just turn up for a select period of the game. You've got to work hard there to maintain a good quality performance right throughout that match. That's what you have to do to get the real season form, which is coming up so soon. We've got to step up. And I think for tomorrow's game, Valverde should be down there demanding every single player out there, start the game as you mean to go on. Start the game as you mean there to start the season. Because you've got to be proving here that you are ready to start the new season. You've got to be showing there you're ready to step into the first team, whether you're ready to play a bench role, a squad role, or whether you're pushing there to be in the starting lineup. You've got to go out there and show and prove yourself. Valverde has to demand that of those players. They can't be allowed to be comfortable, not this season. Let's tomorrow see a very complete performance, a good 90 minutes, a solid display, and hopefully that'll give us some good optimism there, going into the season ahead, feeling good about things. That's the important thing right now. Get that positive energy going. Let's see some good football, and let's see some intent in tomorrow's display against Napoli again. They're a good side. They will test us, but we must be ready. But I want to talk now, guys, when we look at the lineups here for Barcelona, about certain players in that team who've really impressed me as pre-season has gone on, have either impressed me or still have a point to prove. We're going to start here with the starting line, just talk about each player in a bit of detail here about how they performed. I think Neto starting here in goal. He was simply outstanding in our last game against Napoli. He really announced himself. Of course, Ter Stegen is going to be starting the season there, and he is going to be our #1 goalkeeper. But at the same time, we do need a good backup. Neto there showed himself. some brilliant reflexes, some fantastic point-blank saves. He did himself no harm at all there in our last game. I think Junior Firpo has to play a few more minutes there at left-back, simply because he looked rusty, he looked like, of course, he wasn't getting to grips with Barcelona's style, and it does take time, and for that reason, every minute that Firpo is out on the field is a really big bonus for him. Every minute there that he can get alongside his teammates, that he can learn, that he can absorb information, even better here, because in pre-season, if he makes a mistake now, just like, of course, the goal against Napoli, if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. You can learn from that, and that's the beauty of pre-season, and that's why, for me, we have to see Junior Firpo once again against Napoli tomorrow night. And then at centre-half, of course, Clement Lenglet hasn't played a great deal over the course of the pre-season so far. We've been looking very, very intently at Samuel Umtiti, but Lenglet's going to come into this team, I'm sure, against Napoli, and I'm sure he'll play very well. Jean-Claire Todibo was another one in that game, although defence was suspect. He was brilliant. He was absolutely magnificent there against Napoli, and his stock over the course of this pre-season, it has certainly risen. He is going to be a member of this squad for the coming season. Valverde is going to be able to count on him, and if he does get his chances, I fully expect Todibo to deliver, to stand up, because clearly he's got the talent. Semedo there at right back, of course. You've got Moussa Wagué, who can play there as well. He started, of course, Wagué against Napoli, but I feel like Semedo may come in and start this game. Then into midfield. That gets very, very interesting here, because we're talking now about a very, very nice trio. Frenkie de Jong perhaps holding in midfield there, alongside Arthur Melo. It could be there for the very first time. He didn't play at all against Napoli. I would certainly expect him here to be involved on Saturday, and as well, the same goes for Carlos Aleñá. And I think that midfield there, Frenkie de Jong, Arthur Melo, Carlos Aleñá, you've got something different there in every single player. Frenkie de Jong is capable there of holding the midfield, anchoring the midfield. He's good defensively as well, but he can also have the legs to get forward, to get the energy going there. Arthur Melo, of course, he's going to be the metronome. You're going to have the passes going into him. He's going to set the tempo, keep things ticking over. And then, of course, Carlos Aleñá, something completely different again. He's good technically, he's good with the ball at his feet, but he can move forward. He can be there in the advanced midfield role, and I think that certainly those three in midfield, very, very exciting indeed. And of course, we all want to see this front three. With Messi not available right now, this is the next best thing. You've got Antoine Griezmann on the left-hand side, Ousmane Dembele on the right, but of course, they can be flexible. Suarez here down the middle, he's your vocal point. He's there to occupy the two centre-backs of Napoli, and Griezmann then he's going to be playing off him. You've got Dembele there, and what we have to see is more creativity than we did see in that first half against Napoli. Suarez and Griezmann started together. They didn't do an awful lot, it has to be said. Dembele, though, came on in the second half, and he looked absolutely brilliant. That's what we want to see from Dembele. That's what we've got to see from him in the coming season, and I really do hope that he's involved here on Saturday once again, because I think certainly he's on the verge now of a goal, at least one, that's for sure. But then, of course, you do move to some of the players that I have singled out here. I'm going to highlight for some specific reasons. Samuel Umtiti is one for me who, throughout pre-season, we've been having a look at him. The most important thing is that he is fit right now, but of course in that last game, he did go down a little bit. He did go down there perhaps in the Valverde pecking order, simply because it wasn't a good display there from Samuel Umtiti, and now, of course, he's got to work his way back. When you make that mistake, when you go down there, you've got to hit back. You've got to hit back hard, and certainly if he's involved here against Napoli once again, he's got to do better. He's got to show more to be in Valverde's plans for the coming season. Arturo Vidal wasn't involved at all against Napoli. An extended break there from the Copa America has seen him not be involved at all for Barcelona in the pre-season so far, and exactly the same there for Felipe Coutinho. Still, of course, on the transfer list. Perhaps he's not going to be going to the Premier League. That deadline is done now, but Coutinho wasn't involved in the last game. Will he be involved in this one on Saturday? But then over the right-hand side here, Rafinha, Puig, Carlos Perez, Abel Ruiz. Four players for me who've been very impressive. I think Abel Ruiz has a lot to prove. He's certainly somebody who, if he gets a chance, he's got to take it. He looked quite good. He looked quite fresh when he came on in the second half there against Napoli. Carlos Perez, of course, has been really impressive too. Certainly in his cameo roles, he's come on. He's given us something different. He's got a point to prove too, of course, to Valverde. But Puig and Rafinha, Puig in particular, coming on, taking the occasion, looking really mature, looking very experienced really in the way that he's playing, even though, of course, he really isn't. But at the same time, he looks so ready to step up to that first team plate, and he'll do that. Given the opportunity, he will shine. And Rafinha, if he can stay injury-free right now, he's looking like a very, very decent player. Very versatile, of course. He can play in a number of roles. That could be valuable for the season so far. If we don't sell him, if he can stay fit and continue impressing on pre-season, certainly he'll be pushing Valverde, he'll be giving him a few questions, and that's all you can do. All you can do in pre-season is play well, do your very best, and then, of course, it's over to the coach. That's the big decisions right now, and this right here is a team of players who should be out there on Saturday night with a big point to prove. The season is coming. let's see some good displays. So please leave your thoughts in the comments down below, guys, and everything discussed in today's match preview. Napoli coming up tomorrow, like I say, very familiar opponents. Let me know in the comments down below, who do you think should start the game? Who do you think should come on? Who are you excited about seeing? Are we going to see a complete Barcelona 90-minute performance tomorrow? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you, of course, tomorrow for the match review. Thanks as always, guys. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.